Okay, imagine for a second that you've built a fortress.
A fortress, okay.
I mean, you've got the 10-foot walls, the moat with, I don't know, genetically modified alligators, the whole 9 yards.
The whole works.
The retinal scanners, everything. You spend millions on this. You feel pretty good about it, right?
Of course.
But then some guy just walks up to the front gate, punches in the code, and just walks right in.
Right.
He didn't cut the fence. He didn't fight the alligators. He just had the code.
It's the ultimate anticlimax to a security story, isn't it? You build a castle, but you leave the key under the mat.
Exactly.
Or maybe more accurately, someone stole a copy of your key 3 years ago and you just never bothered to change the locks.
And that is the terrifying reality we are unpacking today. It doesn't matter how much money a company throws at a firewall if the bad guys already have valid login credentials.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is the WeCyberYou Unlocked podcast, and today we are looking at some really unsettling data provided by WeCyberYou about credential stuffing. It sounds like something you'd do to a turkey, but I promise you the reality is much less appetizing.
Right. And we're going to get into the mechanics of this because it's not just hacking in the way you see in movies. We need to understand the economy of it, the automation, and, well, honestly, the human psychology that makes it all possible. Because our mission today is to figure out how to stop the bad guys from using our own keys against us.
And this is such a crucial one to understand because unlike some, zero-day exploit or a complex server-side vulnerability, credential stuffing targets the user. It targets you.
So let's strip this down. Credential stuffing.
Yeah.
When we look at the WeCyberYou article, the definition's pretty specific. We aren't talking about breaking a system's encryption, are we?
No, not at all. If you want to visualize it, don't picture a hacker frantically writing code.
Okay.
Picture a robot, and it's holding this massive key ring with 1 million keys on it, and it's trying them on 1 million different doors, one by one, at lightning speed. That's it. Credential stuffing is the automated injection of breached username and password pairs to fraudulently gain access to user accounts.
So the stuffing part is literally just jamming these credentials into login boxes until one works.
Precisely. And the key distinction here, the thing that makes this so insidious, is that the attacker isn't exploiting a flaw in the website they're attacking. Amazon, Netflix, your bank. Their security could be absolutely perfect.
So the flaw is us.
The flaw is that the user, you or I, reused a password from somewhere else, somewhere that wasn't secure.
That's the original sin of the internet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Password reuse. We all know we shouldn't do it, but, password 123 is just so easy to remember.
It is. And the attackers are banking on that. They're banking on that apathy. The logic is simple. If you used a password on, say, a knitting forum in 2018, and that forum got hacked,
Right.
the attackers are betting that you used the exact same email and password combination for your PayPal account today.
Which brings us to the supply chain. Where are all these keys coming from? Because we're talking about huge volume here. This isn't one guy guessing your dog's name.
No, the scale is industrial. We are talking about the combo list. Attackers just aggregate data from thousands of past breaches.
Like what?
LinkedIn, Yahoo, that random e-commerce site you bought a gift from 5 years ago. They compile these into massive databases. I mean, we're talking billions of credentials. Billions. Available on dark web marketplaces or sometimes just shared freely on hacker forums.
So it's like a greatest hits album of every security failure of the last decade.
That is a perfect way to put it. And they take that album and just play it on loop against every major service on the internet.
Okay, let's talk mechanics, because I think people have the wrong mental image. They see a guy in a hoodie typing admin and password over and over.
Yeah, the movie hacker.
But if you tried that manually against 1 million accounts, you'd die of old age before you even got through 1% of the list.
Exactly. The manual hacker is a myth in this context. This is fully automated. The WeCyberYou data highlights the use of really sophisticated tools and botnets.
So it's like stuffing as a service, basically.
In many ways, yes. Attackers use tool software like Sentry MBA or their own custom scripts that take a config file for a target, say, a streaming service.
Right.
They load in their combo list of 1 million stolen credentials, they hit start, and they just walk away. The software does all the heavy lifting.
But wait, if I try to log into my email and fail 3 times, I get locked out, or at least I get a slowdown warning. How are they firing off millions of attempts without the server just blocking them instantly?
That is the big arms race in cybersecurity right now.
Yeah.
To get around those blocks, attackers use something called traffic blending.
Okay.
They use residential proxies.
Residential proxies. That sounds innocent enough.
It sounds innocent, but it's incredibly clever. Instead of all the attacks coming from one suspicious server in a basement somewhere.
The botnet routes the traffic through infected devices in people's homes. Smart fridges, routers, infected laptops.
So the attack on my bank account might look like it's coming from my neighbor's toaster.
Or grandmother's iPad in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Because the traffic comes from legitimate residential IP addresses, the security systems at the bank have a much harder time telling it apart from real users.
It's camouflage.
Perfect camouflage.
It is wildly frustrating. It's just hiding in plain sight. Now, I want to clarify a term I hear thrown around a lot. Brute force.
Yes.
Is credential stuffing just a fancy rebranding of brute force, or is there a real technical difference?
Oh, there is a massive difference, and it really all comes down to efficiency.
How so?
Well, think of brute force as trying to pick a lock by just smashing the pins. You're guessing.
You're trying everything.
Everything. AA, AB, AC. You're literally trying every possible combination of characters to find a password.
Which takes forever and makes a ton of noise, digitally speaking. Exactly. It's computationally expensive, and it's pretty easy to spot. Credential stuffing is different because there is no guessing. You have a key. You have a username and a password that you know are a valid pair because they worked on another site.
So you're just seeing if the key fits another door.
You are just testing to see if the lock on the new door matches the key you stole from the old door.
So the success rate is it's exponentially higher than.
It's exponentially. In a brute force attack, you might try 1 billion combinations to crack one account. In credential stuffing, you try one combination per account. It's sleek, it's fast, and it just destroys that whole idea of security through obscurity.
It really highlights why the human element is always the weakest link. The WeCyberYou article points out that this attack works because of longevity. That concept really stuck with me.
It's the ghost in the machine. A credential stolen 5, even 10 years ago can still be valid today.
That's the part that keeps me up at night. I can be perfectly secure today. I can have a strong password. I can be careful about phishing today. But because I made a bad decision in 2019 on a site I don't even remember, I'm vulnerable.
It turns your digital history into a liability, a huge liability. Attackers know that people rarely change passwords unless they are absolutely forced to. So that data from the 2019 breach, to a hacker, it's basically a vintage wine. It just gets better with age.
A vintage wine that drains your bank account. Let's talk about the fallout. The article calls it ATO, or account takeover. Obviously, there's the financial hit. They get into your bank, they steal your money. That's the classic scenario.
Right.
But there were some other consequences mentioned that I think people really overlook.
The financial fraud is the headline, for sure. But the secondary markets are fascinating. Take loyalty points, for example.
Yeah, airline miles, hotel points. I usually think of those as just, bonus perks. I don't really think of them as currency.
But they are currency, and they are often much less protected than a bank account. Attackers love stuffing credentials into airline or hotel sites, draining the miles, and then selling them on the dark web or just buying gift cards.
It's a huge silent economy.
Huge.
So they're stealing my vacation? That feels weirdly personal.
It is. And then there's the secondary attack vector, business email compromise, or BEC.
Okay.
If I stuff credentials and get into your corporate email, I'm not just reading your memos, I'm sending emails as you.
And because it's actually coming from my account, it bypasses all the spam filters.
Exactly. I can email your finance department and say, hey, can you update the wire transfer details for this vendor? And it's coming from your legitimate email address. The trust is already established.
And that's how companies lose millions.
In a single afternoon. It's a cascading failure. One reused password on a gaming site leads to a massive corporate breach.
So the picture is pretty grim. We have this automated army of bots using our own keys, hiding behind our neighbors' IP addresses. What are the organizations doing? Because, if I'm the user, I'm looking at these tech giants saying, hey, help me out here.
And it's definitely a shared responsibility. The source material outlines a few layers of defense that organizations are using. The first, and maybe the most annoying for us users, is the CAPTCHA.
Oh, the traffic lights. Select all the squares with a crosswalk. I feel like I fail those half the time. Am I a robot?
You might be, but there is a reason they exist. They're trying to introduce a friction point that's easy for a human but hard for a script.
But the bots are getting smarter.
They are. There are now AI services that can solve CAPTCH or even CAPTCH farms where attackers pay real humans pennies to solve them in real time.
So it's an arms race. We build a better wall, they just build a taller ladder.
That's exactly it. That's why companies are moving toward, well, it's called behavioral biometrics. This is really cool stuff.
Okay, what's that?
The system analyzes how you interact with the page.
Like how I move my mouse.
Yes, exactly that. Does the mouse move in a perfectly straight line to the login button? That's probably a bot. Does it have micro jitters, acceleration, and hesitation? That's a human. They look at typing speed, the time between keystrokes.
It's a way of verifying humanness without making you click on pictures of buses.
Precisely.
That is incredibly sci-fi, but it makes sense. So while the companies are fighting the bot wars with AI, what do we do? Because I can't install behavioral biometrics on my own brain. The WeCyberYou guide is pretty clear on user defense strategies.
And the defenses are simple, but they require discipline. The absolute non-negotiable rule is stop reusing passwords.
I know. But we have to be realistic. I probably have 150 online accounts. I cannot remember 150 unique 16-character alphanumeric strings. My brain is full of song lyrics and useless trivia.
And that's a valid limitation. The human brain was not designed for this. That's why the recommendation is so heavily focused on password managers.
I have a love-hate relationship with them. Setting them up is a pain. It's a whole weekend project to change all your old passwords.
It is a chore, absolutely. But think of it as digital hygiene. Once it's set up, it's a game changer. The password manager generates a 20-character random nightmare for every site, remembers it, and autofills it.
So you only have to remember one password, the master password.
Just one. And so if a site gets breached, the attackers get a password that looks like xy7tagb9.q, and it works only on that one site.
You break the chain.
You break the chain. The credential stuffing attack fails immediately because that key doesn't fit any other lock.
Now, what about the other acronym we always hear? MFA, multi-factor authentication.
This is the nuclear option against credential stuffing. If you enable MFA, whether it's a text code, an authenticator app, a hardware key, you are completely changing the rules of the game.
Because even if they have the key,
even if they have the username and the password, they hit a brick wall. The system asks for the 6-digit code from your phone.
And the bot doesn't have your phone.
The bot doesn't have your phone. The attack stops dead.
It seems like MFA should just be mandatory everywhere at this point.
It's getting there. But users often turn it off because, it adds 5 seconds to the login process. The takeaway here is just spend the 5 seconds. It's absolutely worth it.
And the final piece of advice from the source was vigilance.
Yeah.
Just monitoring.
Right. Don't ignore those new login alert emails. If you get an email saying you logged into Spotify from Vietnam and you are currently sitting in Ohio, that is not a glitch.
That's a canary in the coal mine.
That's exactly it. Change your password immediately.
And probably check your other accounts too, just in case you reuse that password.
Exactly. Assume if one is compromised, any others sharing that password are also gone.
So, bringing this all back to the big picture, WeCyberYou provided a lot of data here, but the narrative is crystal clear. Credential stuffing isn't going away.
Not at all. As long as there are passwords, there will be people stealing them and robots testing them.
It's a low-risk, high-reward crime.
That's the reality. It's cheap to execute, hard to trace, and unfortunately very effective because of our own habits.
But we aren't helpless. And that's the good news. We can kill the ROI for these attackers by just doing the basics.
Unique passwords, password managers, MFA.
It's not rocket science. It's just work.
It is work, but consider the alternative. The time you spend setting up a password manager is significantly less than the time you'll spend trying to recover your identity after a breach.
That is a very valid point. Prevention is cheaper than the cure.
Much cheaper.
Listen, this has been a real eye-opener. I want to thank WeCyberYou for the source material on this. It's scary stuff, but knowing how the sausage is made, or rather, how the credentials are stuffed, makes it a lot easier to defend yourself.
Absolutely. Awareness is always the first layer of security.
If you want to dive deeper into this, or if you need to send a link to that one friend who uses password 123 for everything, please visit WeCyberYou.com. They have a ton of educational cybersecurity content like this that breaks down the threats in a way that actually makes sense.
It's great stuff.
And of course, make sure you are following the WeCyberYou Unlocked podcast channel so you don't miss the next deep dive.
Definitely check them.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought. We talked about the longevity of data, how a breach from years ago can hurt you today.
Right, the ghost concept.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So take a minute today and think, how many ghosts are following you? How many accounts did you create 10 years ago for a forum, a game, a random shopping site that you have completely forgotten about?
We all have them, that's for sure.
We do. And the question is, are those ghosts currently floating around a dark web database holding a key that opens your front door today?
That is a very unsettling thought to end on.
It is, but better to be unsettled and secure than comfortable and compromised. Stay safe out there, everyone. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.